Alright, what is going on, guys? Welcome to a brand new episode, bringing you guys a ton more content on the Masai Gains channel. I hope you guys are enjoying. You guys know I'm all about my Land Cruiser content with my own Land Cruisers. You guys know nothing on this channel is sponsored or anything like that. You know, you get exactly what is my honest opinion. There's no extra attachments on this channel, so you can enjoy proper automotive, proper overlanding content without all those extra items. So today, as you see, I'm in my wonderful laid-back shirt. It is Ramadan and I am fasting. I am enjoying my colorful shirt today on the weekend, and today is a fantastic episode for you guys because I am taking you through 5-year ownership update with my Land Cruiser Cygnus. Alright guys, so this particular story starts off 5 years ago, March of 2019, where I set my eyes on what I thought was just the most beautiful Land Cruiser 100 series I'd ever seen, and it was in fact a Cygnus. So if some of you don't know what Cygnus is sort of the top spec, the best version of the Land Cruiser 100 series that you can get. It was basically sold as an LX470 in the US market. Now I saw this thing, I immediately grabbed it up. I went and did my first test drive. I remember that first test drive when I sat in this thing and I thought, am I riding on a cloud? You know, it felt exactly like driving on a cloud. And I thought, wow, you know, coming from my Prado 120 series, this just felt amazing. You know, it just rode like a dream. And so instantly I was totally sold on it. I talked to the owner of it. We negotiated into the night. I was so wanting to get this vehicle, and I was staying up on my phone, still trying to negotiate, and eventually he sort of appreciated my will and my my eagerness for this type of vehicle, and he went with my price. And so, you know, if you're out there, you know who you are. I appreciate it, brother, because hell have I enjoyed this vehicle. So I snapped this vehicle up and immediately, of course, went through the sort of the fluid changes that I wanted to do to sort of baseline it. So the first thing you do usually is you do an oil service, which I did. The hydraulic suspension was all right, nothing to touch, no issues. Changed the air filter, and actually didn't do much after that. Just did my usual cleaning, leather cleaning, try to bring this car up exactly to spec, exactly the way I wanted it. So once I did all that, guys, the vehicle just treated me so well. We're talking comfort. Now keep in mind that when I first got it, it had mud terrain tires, 275 6518, which is slightly taller tire than my stock size. Now I did not like how the vehicle rode on that. It was a Maxxis tire, it was a bighorn mud terrain tire, and I was just not a fan of that tire. So I did change them out to highway terrain initially. So changed the vehicle to highway terrain, and that's where I was able to sort of notice the best fuel economy that I can get from this vehicle, which was, you know, almost about 5.5 to 6 kilometers in the city. Once I changed over to the all-terrains, which are on now, we're talking about 5.5 or 5 kilometers a liter in the city. Of course, highway driving does become much better, guys. But I snapped this vehicle up because I felt like I was driving my living room. And I've told my wife this so many times about this vehicle, that the Cygnus makes you feel like I've sort of sat on my couch or one of the couches in the living room, and the couch has got wheels, because I'm sort of sucked into this wonderful leather of this seat. It isn't the typical leather you find in the Land Cruiser 100 series. It is, of course, Lexus leather or Cygnus leather. It is a higher spec, a higher better tasting, better smelling leather, that's for sure. And so every time I get into the vehicle, you know, you have to remember, a vehicle like this is all about your sensory experience. All of your senses come alive when you drive a refined, luxurious vehicle. And that is basically what luxury is. Luxury is sort of a heightened sense. And immediately I could sense from this vehicle that, you know, this is what I'm looking for, because drivability, smooth, comfortable, you know, kind of floaty, like you're driving on a cloud because of the AHC or the automatic height control. Comfort, leather seats, all that. Then you got the buttery smooth 5-speed automatic transmission, which is known to just shift like butter, you know, just shift so smooth. Then you got this wonderful big steering wheel, very well tuned steering system with VGRS, which basically means variable gearing, so you don't have to turn the steering wheel so much in some maneuvers. And as well, I can tell you, this is the lightest steering that you will get on a Land Cruiser. I haven't found another Land Cruiser that has this light of a steering. And this one was particularly tuned because, you know, back in the day they really wanted to impress their customers. And so I've tried the 200, I've tried the ZX, I've tried many Land Cruisers. None of them compare to the tuning and the sort of steering feel of the Land Cruiser Cygnus. So over 5 years, what has really crept up? Well, I had a coolant pipe that wasn't tightened, so it was leaking, so I changed the clamp, and that's fine. I flushed the coolant system, so we got all that old coolant out, because when you buy a new vehicle, you don't know how long the coolant has sat. So I flushed the entire system and we put in fresh, long life Toyota coolant. What else? We're talking about, aside from the general services, so oil, air filters, that is general service. Aside from that, I did get into 2 rear hydraulic struts. So I've replaced 2 of the hydraulic struts. I did also get into the automatic transmission fluid. Automatic transmission fluid, or ATF, is something that a lot of people sort of don't change, or, you know, they sort of just skimp out on doing. But you guys got to remember that your vehicle is run by an engine and a transmission. And as much as we service the engines with engine oil, some of you forget about the transmission, which is so important. Even it's so important in fuel economy. You know, the transmission really plays a part in shifting at the correct time and consuming the lowest amount of fuel as it runs through 5 gears or 6 gears, or even in the new Land Cruisers these days, 10 gears. That's all because of fuel economy. So I flushed that automatic transmission fluid and we got fresh Toyota Type 4 ATF into the vehicle. Now let's get into bushings. Bushings are little rubber joints that sit in between metal parts and help provide cushioning so that the vehicle feels smooth. So of course, bushings are something that wears out. So the first 2 bushings I got replaced were my steering rack bushings. They were making a bit of noise and my rack was leaking ever so slightly. And so we changed the bushings so that we would protect the rack. And I have a whole video on that, you guys can check that out. But steering rack bushings were done on this vehicle, and we did them so that sort of preventative maintenance, so that we would protect the rack. Because if the bushings wear completely and the rack is sort of moving about, it's going to damage the rack. So got those done. Then I got a bunch of stabilizer links and trail links sorted out on the suspension, and then I also got the stabilizer bar bushings done. I basically got just a little clunking noise, a little ticking sound basically when I would turn on sort of unpaved roads, and we quickly realized this was the steering sort of the stabilizer bar bushings. Very simple, just I believe they're just 4 bushings, 2 and 2, and once I changed these, I again, you know, got more sort of insulated from the road. So what I did basically, as I owned this vehicle, I upgraded little items to make it better, perform smoother and better. And that had to do with mainly bushings, those hydraulic struts, and then of course, as you guys have seen in recent videos, I do also remove a bit of hydraulic fluid from the front reservoir and I fill fresh fluid in. And that just helps me sort of keep the system's fluid a bit fresh. Not removed parts or moldings on the interior or anything like that. I've not had to do that. I've only changed things like cabin filters for the AC. And apart from that, over 5 years, we have just gone through that oil service and changing the air filter at about 10,000 kilometers, or if I went on a dirtier trip, you know, a trip with more dust, then I would check the air filter and just change it out. I did get the water pump and the timing belt done, guys. Water belt and timing belt is an essential maintenance item for these vehicles. Now, I of course got the timing belt changed first, but when I changed the timing belt, I forgot to change the water pump, and so after that, about a year after that, I changed the water pump because the water pump developed a leak, and I do have a video on that as well, guys. So water pump, great maintenance item. You can check the full video on that. It did cost more than the other items. We're talking about maybe $250 for the water pump, and then that of course needs fresh coolant in the system. So, and timing belt is another one that will probably cost about, I'd say about $150. No, I'd say about $200 probably. So $200 there, about $400 is what I probably spent for water pump, timing belt, fresh fluids, labor, all that, to get the vehicle sorted and nice. And you guys got to remember that the timing belt has to be put on correctly so that the timing all checks out with the vehicle. So that's one of the major items that I did get done, and that's the one that, you know, sort of costed me a bit more compared to other items on my vehicle. Enjoyed the petrol motor, the V8, the sound of it, and the fact that, you know, this is actually one of the last V8s that we got in a Land Cruiser. So I really sort of try and, you know, enjoy that and be conscious of that the days of the V8s seem to be slipping away from us, and as long as I can hold on to this, I absolutely love it. So anyways, on those 5 years, guys, this car has been to the WRC. This car has done some fantastic trips, off-road trips, and it has kept going, and it has not left me stranded, touch wood, not left me stranded even once up to now. So, you know, typical ownership that you would expect of a Land Cruiser owner. They do say that the typical duration that a Land Cruiser owner keeps their vehicle is just about 10 years, guys. So it's quite a good duration, and I seem to be following that because I'm loving the vehicle and the way the vehicle is treating me. And over 5 years, I have simply focused on oil and services, and I'm quite happy with that. You might ask, what oil do I use? How do I keep, you know, the engine pretty fresh? I stick to 5W30 with this vehicle, guys. I know 5W30 is a bit more expensive, but I find it worth it for this type of vehicle. I find it worth it. You guys got to remember that this is a 2UZ-FE. It is a smooth, purring like a cat, amazingly balanced V8 engine. And it's a very, very durable block. You have to remember that the way Toyota makes their engines more durable is the fact that they don't give it much horsepower. And so even though it's a V8, it's only running, you know, in the mid 200s in terms of horsepower. And that's what makes it really durable. Why? Because you're barely stressing the engine. In most cases, as I'm driving around, I'm not stressing this engine. When you rev and stuff, it's a different case. And I'll rev right now just so you guys can enjoy this V8 sound. That's 100. This car picks up and goes like nothing else. It is a time capsule, a time machine, and I mean literally. And I love this thing, Land Cruiser Cygnus. And that V8 rumble is just sweet music to my ears. I mean, I'm so attached to this engine and to this vehicle. You know, little bulbs that go wrong in my headlights and stuff I haven't mentioned, but yeah, once or twice I've replaced a bulb. The rears are LED, but the fronts, the fogs, I have replaced. And so those are, you know, little wear items that can go. On the interior, I have continued to leather clean this vehicle and invest in those kind of, you know, compounds, because I do believe, you know, even the plasticizer and the sort of for the dashboard, to keep things really well maintained and looking really fresh, because I'm a big believer in sort of keeping things maintained well, and they will sort of treat you well in the long run. So apart from the water pump and the timing belt service, the rest has been pretty basic, and here we are touching on 5 years with this wonderful vehicle. And you guys, I can't count the wonderful memories this vehicle has given me, back before I was even married, to then marrying my now wife, and building a life from that. This is this is the vehicle to do it in. I wouldn't do it in any other vehicle. So if you guys enjoyed this episode, it's been another episode of the Perfect Overlander series, and I hope you guys are enjoying. If you did, hit like, subscribe, comment down below, and let me know what you think. Join the community, the Masai Gains channel community. Lots more content coming to this channel, guys, so make sure you're subscribed and you're ready, because we're turning it up. Hope you guys enjoyed. It's been Masai Gains checking out.